Hi, welcome to A Gray Barn Rising. I'm reading the poems this evening of the French poet André Breton, who lived from 1896 to 1966. He's a well-known writer, primarily for surrealism. He was one of the founders, if not one of the primary forces of surrealism. And so people who know anything or hear the word about surrealism often think of André Breton almost in the same breath. I want to read some of his early poems this evening through a small collection of his, a chapbook translated by Mark Palazzati, entitled My Heart Through Which Her Heart Has Passed. And these are poems of love and desperation from 1926 to 1931. Beautifully produced chapbook, and this was actually the very first English translation of these particular poems. This first poem is entitled, It's You, It Is Not Us. It's you, it is not us. It's the fire that doesn't fear the wind, the kind that sweeps quicker than wind over the countryside. A young girl shakes her black hair in sleep and watches us pass, and watches you pass. It's you, it is not us. The genius of the well lowers his magic blue hoop onto your path. It's no longer you, it is you, it is not us. There are doors for every precipice, even for the ones we fall over, and all the way down there are birds. Birds that live only there, whose wings form an X more vibrant than any other. Where are you going? The address is guiding you. I see her fine nude legs. There are no precipices for you, no fleeting oaths that glide over resplendent waters. You are the light winding about the necks of trees, the light that escapes no one, and that twists around the grindstone no one sees. Here is the sea. Here are the races and rosaces you love, the eternal armor of snows on the sea, the wet coupes whipped by the red algae of long avenues. Here are the uniforms with their beautiful aiguillettes. Is it there? Do you want to see the cross that never rises above sea level? Do you want forests of mirrors furrowed with black lightning that hides behind the northern dawns? Do you attend the intimate coronations of queens with no subjects? Or else do you come from the serene pallor of mortal things, like me, questioning you and seeking your arms like flame through a grill? What grill? The grill of time. What time? The time of tears. Where are the shapes of leaves, of veils, of huge butterflies that make the wind tremble? Where is the fire going? The fire that doesn't fear the wind. That poem gains so much velocity through the secretion of imagery. And that's one of the things characteristic of an André Breton poem, is there is the secretion of imagery through a rapid arc of association, one image or series of images leading to another. And also common to an André Breton poem is yoking together of two images or two things that normally don't go together. A juxtaposition, normally called the juxtaposition of distant realities, because it traverses quite a distance, putting two things together that you normally wouldn't associate together. And this great velocity, almost like train cars just barreling down the track, comes at you in his poems. I do not know, but I know. I do not know, but I know. Here is my season that looks toward autumn, in lands where darkness never falls, where the days do not wane by so much as a flying bird's breath. If it is flying, it's because I know. I know it will never come to rest. The swallow is shaped like my hands. That's why it skims the ground just before rainfall. But it is beautiful out, so beautiful that it's no longer here nor elsewhere. It's later in a clearing at the very bottom of a mine, into which an elevator drops, full of stones. Who knows? Balloon falling. Knowledge is very short. It is so in every alphabet in the world. We say knowledge the way we say, I love you. But lips can't always claim that ray of sunshine that keeps certain lands from ever seeing night. Lips are not always those silken ladders. Lips do not always open onto what we know when we believe in divination and its long parade of stars and corollas. Corollas. I spoke the word corollas. Corollas I know. In this corolla is a sudden spasm. I like the way that poem is so aware of its own language and backtracks into certain things that the poet has already said. Very beautiful. Almost meta-discursive in some places like that. And I'd like to close this evening's reading of André Breton with exhibitionistic poem. I will seize my bed around the middle, and I will shake it with all my dreams. Red-headed women can jump rope while making eyes at me like thought. Nothing will stop me. I will bury the window, the crowns of convolvulus and mirabilis. Then I'll wander aimlessly while arranging precious agricultural machines on wallpaper. The silence that is already adventure will again be the clothes I've left behind, lapels plastered down, the morning glory that curls up. Only one stamp in two will be canceled on the letter I don't wish to read, putting off until tomorrow the acquittal of the last criminal. The andirons in their box, the dogs baying at the moon on the casket of exhibitionism. I will enter the scheme of night. I will resign myself to this scheme. I will watch myself being portioned into a waiting game. No more angles, no more of those sinister machicolations discovered when we tried to eat the bread. Women scrupulously torn apart. Women set with men who shine while loving them, and who respond by that dry flowering of agaves. In warm countries, in burning countries, in tepid countries, since everything grows cold anyway, even lava, even memories, even the great cinder boxes where strawberries fade away. I will find my name written on the blazing atrocity, the sheaves of my name lying at the feet of hazelnut trees, the fires of my name already lying awake in scandalous forget-me-nots, the Niagaras of my name struck by the haughty expectation of worlds that huddle onto themselves in the porcupine quills of my name, when it is spoken in the round, in a murmur as if I were still loved, as if I had ever been loved. The closing of that poem is just so emotional and full of passion. So those are a few poems of the poet André Breton. I read from My Heart Through Which Her Heart Has Passed, but I want to mention there are so many books by Breton. You should seek out his work. One book I want to mention that is not a book of poetry, but is, I think, essential reading, is Conversations, the autobiography of Surrealism. And these are radio interviews of André Breton that I just find so fascinating. I've read and reread this book many times, and it will give you real insight into the poet and also into Surrealism as well, and into the early days of Surrealism. I hope you seek out André Breton's work, and thank you so much for joining Bootsy and me for another episode of A Gray Barn Rising.